Hi everybody, welcome to today's edition of the CrossFit Games Update Show. I'm Sean Woodland with Tommy Marquez and Pat Sherwood. Yesterday we talked about the men. Today we turn our attention to the women. We're less than a week away and there's a lot of anticipation as far as this side of the competition goes because it is a loaded field.
The same deal for me personally that started in the Open, carried over to regional, is now happening with the Games. The men's competition is going to be fantastic, but I'm 100% focused on who's going to win out of all these incredible ladies.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, and that's crazy considering that we even lost a top athlete in Julie Fouché, that it's that loaded that this is going to be just an amazing women's competition.
Yesterday we mentioned that there was a bit of a power vacuum at the top of the men's competition because 4 of the top 6 men from the Games last year are not back. That's not the case with the women. There are a ton of women with podium finishes under their belts at the Games this year, including the past 3 champions. Lindsay Valenzuela's back, and then you got Becca Voigt, who's making her 8th game appearance. And right there, you've got 5 contenders who could easily wind up on the podium.
And you've got Briggs and Valenzuela back. I mean, what more can you ask for? They're going to throw down since they missed it last year.
I mean, first time ever having 3 champions on the same floor at the Games. I mean, what more could you ask for?
Yeah, when you talk about favorites, you have to address those champions. And most recently, it's Camila Blanc-Bazinet. And maybe we haven't talked a whole lot about her because she was a little quiet during the Open, but looked great during regionals. And I mean, she is the champ, so she is the champ until someone beats her, correct?
Every time we have the discussions about the Games and who's going to win, men or women, and every time the women come up, you talk about Camila Blanc-Bazinet, won the whole thing last year, and you think to yourself, all right, well, what could trip her up this year? And I kind of draw a blank. She's incredibly consistent. She can run. She can swim. She's super talented with the barbell. We all know she's a bodyweight ninja. Her mental game has come leaps and bounds from years past. And that's why she's been so dominant at regionals this year, was top 5 on all the events. The only maybe hiccup was she didn't finish as well as we all thought she would. We thought potentially she would win the Open, and that didn't occur. She wound up taking 5th. But I mean, I'm not letting that throw me off the Camille bandwagon. And I think the biggest thing is she's just had a year, if not 2, of healthy training where Sam Briggs gets banged up, has to modify things. Annie Thorisdottir can't do whatever. And there's Camille just logging healthy training day after healthy training day.
And you mentioned Annie Thorisdottir coming back from the injury. You know, last year she wasn't training at 100%, still finished 2nd. Only woman to win this thing twice. She's healthy. That could be trouble for everyone else.
It's going to be trouble, primarily because if you look at her resume, it is second to none. She's the only woman to have won the title twice. She's the only woman to have stood on the podium 4 times. No other female athlete has done that more than twice. And really, she's making her 6 Games appearance, and she's only 25. The last time we saw her get beat at the Games was back in 2010, and the following year she won the Open, which she did this year as well, and then she followed that up by winning at the Games in 2011. And I think it could be a situation where history is repeating itself, and with respect to the stage of competition, she's just the model of consistency. You're talking last year's Games into this year's Open against her region, to this Meridian Regional, and now going forward to the Games. She has had 17 consecutive top 10 finishes. No other female athlete is even close to that, and I really think it's an opportunity for her to come back to the Games, and I think she wants her crown back.
A woman who is not healthy right now is Sam Briggs. She's had injury issues ever since the Open, had that broken foot in regionals, but you know, look, an injured Sam Briggs is still Sam Briggs.
Sam Briggs has, I don't want to say only won the Games once. That's a terrible thing to say. But she's only won the Games once, and back in 2013, but she almost has this lore or mystique about her for some reason that if she's competing, the other competitors are like, oh man, Briggs is here, I better bring my A game. I mean, she's just known for mental toughness, physical toughness. You talk engine, you talk stamina. She's basically synonymous with those words, which is why she's such a threat, even not at 100%. But, and this is a big but, all those women we just saw on the graphic that are now showing up, the field is so competitive that not being at 100%, that concerns me. And we all know she was worried about even making it to regionals this year because she couldn't lift heavy weights for a while. She makes it, and then what happens? She competes and qualifies with a broken foot, a testament to her toughness, but that's affected her training from regionals to the Games. And so what capacity of Sam Briggs will we see is kind of yet to be determined.
Those are just 3 women who could win this thing. There are plenty of others. All of them are veterans. All of them have finished inside the top 10 of the Games except for Cara Webb. But remember, last year, she looked like she might be on the way towards winning the CrossFit Games, and then that injury derailed her. She had that shoulder problem. She and Emily Bridgers are the only two women this year to win 4 events at regionals and win their regional. Let's start with Emily Bridgers, because this is a woman, after what she did last year, could be poised for a podium finish, if not a CrossFit Games win this year.
Yeah, I mean, she had a dream season last year, but what I think is unique about Emily is she's an athlete who saves her absolute best for when the stage is biggest and brightest. I think that comes from her gymnastics background, where really she uses the platform of competition to kind of elevate her performance to a whole nother level. We saw it last year at the Games when she had her 2 best finishes on day number 3 to move her up into 6th. We saw it at Invitational where she went 3 for 3 on the snatch to set USA up nicely for when Rich Froning came in to clean house. We saw it at the 15.2 Open announcement where she set the time to beating Michelle Letendre when arguably she wasn't the favorite. We saw it this year at regionals with Event 3 Chipper. She was the first athlete, male or female, to finish it. And she did so in exciting fashion with Anna Tunnicliffe on her tail. And really, I can't emphasize enough how cool it is that she beat Sam Briggs at regionals, because, and listen to this stat, the winner of Sam Briggs Regional, every year that she's competed, has gone on to stand on the podium. It was Annie Thorsdottir 3 times, Sam won her own regional once, and now Emily has an opportunity to kind of continue that trend. And I think based on what she did last year and how she's done so far, it is definitely within her reach.
Putting the pressure on Emily, all right.
And then you have Cara Webb, who you got herself healthy, got back to work, and has looked pretty much unstoppable so far.
Cara Webb last year at the Games, up until the point where that injury caught up with her, was just looking like a freight train going downhill. And we need to see this year, is she healthy? Is she going to be back to that kind of old form? And what we wanted to see was, how would the Open shake out? How was regionals? And she took 2nd in the Open, did fantastic, won her regional in dominating fashion, had 4 first-place finishes, a 2nd and a 4th, and her only stumble at regionals was an 11th, and it was on the handstand walk. Now, is that coincidence? Because that's exactly where we saw at the Games last year her go from being the leader to now being on the sidelines and not competing. So without a doubt, Cara qualified. She'll be there. But in my mind, I kind of think of like Sam Briggs too. How much has she had to modify her training? And given the field of ladies this year, is that going to be enough to hurt her? If not, Webb could take it all.
There are some other women out there who certainly have a chance of standing on the podium. I don't know if we would want to call them dark horses, but who are a couple athletes that maybe we're not talking a whole lot about now, but they might grab our attention come Saturday and Sunday?
Okay, one that doesn't get a lot of press, but I think, because it's so easy to focus on the top 5, the top 10, but mark my words, Dani Horan, last 2 years in a row, she's finished 18th, both years at the Games. Looking back last year, what really held her back was the beach and the triple 3. On the beach, she took 35th, and on the triple 3, 40th. These events absolutely killed her. Talked to her on the phone. She said when she got home from the Games last year, it's an understatement to say that she was incredibly disappointed. So much so that she did endurance training 6 days a week, even went down in the loading in the barbell, just wanted to build engine, build stamina, get lungs, and hurt her, just develop that pain tolerance. She did. Doing that even increased, she lifted, but even increased her heavy numbers. And a side benefit to that, she said, not only is she far better at endurance than she's ever been, and she was capable in the other things, but she developed a mental toughness that she didn't think would happen, because what you have to do to hold a certain pace on the air assault day after day, at the track and whatnot, now between the ears, she's rock solid.
And the woman you're talking about, I don't think it's even fair to call her a dark horse, but it's just because she's not getting as much press as some of the big names, and that's Michelle Letendre. I mean, she had a great year last year.
Yeah, she shouldn't be called a dark horse. She is a top contender when it comes to the women's field, and really she was so close to the podium last year. She was just 6 points shy, finishing in 4th, and really she was actually 8 points ahead of Julie going into the final event in double grace. If you look at her ascension to one of the elite in this sport, it's really impressive. She showed up in 2011 where she took 25th at the Games. Every year at the Games since then, she has improved all the way up to 4th last year, and she's really developed into the complete competitor when we're talking about being good at everything across the board. Last year at the Games, she had 8 top 10 finishes overall for the weekend. She finished top 10 in the beach and overhead squat, where you got swimming and a max load. She finished top 10 at the muscle-up biathlon and push-pull, where you got a chipper, a couplet, you got gymnastics movements, you got running. It doesn't matter what it is now, she's going to be in the mix, hovering around the top 10, and that's what you want to see from an athlete who wants to kind of improve up and finally make that podium.
Yeah, we are less than a week away from the beginning of the 2015 Reebok CrossFit Games. That's it for us today. For Pat and Tommy, I'm Sean. We're back next week to give you our top 5 picks for both the men and the women. We'll see you then.